Hello, I'm Clarissa Reiser, and I will be providing a cyber operations and risk management briefing. The recent attack at the Five Eyes Global Economic Summit on New Zealand's network is indicative of the vast number of cyber threats that many organizations face daily. With the growing number of devices used within an organization's networks, the risk of attack increases, and software assurance needs must be at the forefront of our organization's cybersecurity plan. Software plays a major part in how networks operate, how programs are used, and how personnel communicate. However, many threats can exist within the software, from how the software is built to how the software is installed and maintained on the network. When evaluating software assurance needs within New Zealand's networks, there are some key principles that must be considered. First, New Zealand must consider that every component of the network may provide an attack vector, and that the proper security protection should be put in place regardless of how insignificant the application may seem. During the software development lifecycle, or SDLC, New Zealand should institute a secure development environment ensuring the personnel, tools, and applications used are free from external threats. Additionally, New Zealand must continuously patch and update software on a regular basis to lessen the amount of initial attack vectors threat actors may use to gain access. Finally, New Zealand must consider that the supply chain for software components could be compromised, and inherent risk is accepted when integrating outside components where the risk cannot be easily managed. Now we'll move on to the key attributes of the current SDLC. New Zealand's current SDLC methodology is the Agile methodology. This methodology is the most commonly used methodology within most organizations due to its ease of use, flexibility, and ability to quickly create software for deployment. One of the key benefits to using the Agile methodology is that this model allows for on-the-fly changes due to client involvement during the development process, unlike other methodologies that do not introduce client feedback until the software product is complete. Rather than working within archaic restraints, the Agile methodology allows the teams to make mistakes, quickly fix them, and move on with the project. New Zealand's use of the Agile methodology is a net positive for the organization and will aid in superior, secure software applications and products. Now we'll move on to known supply chain risks. The supply chain is one of the main areas threat actors target because it has the potential to give them access to a variety of organizations depending on which piece of the supply chain is compromised. New Zealand will inevitably have to use a third-party software or application in some capacity due to how most applications and systems are manufactured. In a recent hack on SolarWinds, a trusted cybersecurity company, hackers were able to infiltrate both the government and private organizations due to the extensive reach of the SolarWinds software. In an effort to protect against supply chain risks, New Zealand should require third-party testing, standards, and policies that offer safeguards against these threats. Part of New Zealand's SDLC should be testing throughout the entirety of the process, and then regular patches and updates in the maintenance phase. With the proper policies and frameworks in place, New Zealand can lessen the threat of the supply chain risk to networks and applications. In addition to supply chain risks, which typically exploit unknown vulnerabilities, threat actors are also successful in exploiting known software vulnerabilities. During the recent attack on New Zealand's networks, known software vulnerabilities left New Zealand's network and applications susceptible to compromise by hackers. Taking advantage of these known vulnerabilities allowed the hackers to conduct a distributed denial of service, or DOS, attack, inject malware to gain access to the network, and conduct malicious code execution, resulting in a ransomware attack that locked the system and demanded Bitcoin payment. New Zealand must ensure that software patches and updates are conducted on a regular basis to prevent against attacks. And while there are no guarantees that patches and safeguards will prevent against every attack, they do provide a great level of protection and reduce the risks associated with using in-house and third-party software. In an effort to reduce the threat of future attacks and bolster new defenses on New Zealand's network, organization leadership should consider the implementation of software and supply chain options that meet the organization's security needs. One recommendation for securing software is through the use of external programs that aid in identifying vulnerabilities and potential avenues for malware to compromise the network. Malwarebytes is software that uses advanced technology to scan the network, identify malware, and clean up infections. Additionally, to ensure secure software development, New Zealand should consider the use of Hyperproof. Hyperproof is a project management and accountability system for security and compliance that ensures the associated security tasks are being completed and that correct configurations have been put in place. On the supply chain side, New Zealand should consider a technology-enabled supply chain that uses robots and AI for early detection and warning of existing and future threats. Removing human error from the supply chain can be more beneficial long-term. Additionally, reallocating funding to the development of the workforce may result in skilled workers that can produce the same or better components than third parties and lessen the need for third-party software and applications on New Zealand's network. As with any introduction of new software and services, there are associated costs that New Zealand will need to consider prior to implementation. The use of Malwarebytes for an organization of New Zealand's size will run $69.99 per device per year. With over 100 devices, Malwarebytes could cost the organization around $85,000 per year, which is pricey up front, but in the long term protects sensitive data and costly network components. Additionally, Hyperproof would run the organization $24,000 per year and includes program management, cloud storage, a test and training environment, and an internal and external audits and assessments. The use of robotics and AI for the supply chain may be more of an investment due to the fact that New Zealand would have to shift some of the foundational ways supply chain tasks are currently conducted. Finally, New Zealand could invest $3,000 per employee per year for training, classes, and certifications to increase their skills and lessen the need for third-party software and components. New Zealand's contracts with external organizations should include contracts that include non-disclosure agreements, contract life cycle, negotiation and renegotiation terms, and avenues to address shortcomings and damages from potential attacks. As New Zealand continues to operate in a high-threat environment, the organization must take risk management seriously to invest now to protect assets later.